The older I get, the more I realize how much I really don't know or understand. It seems that the more experiences I have in life, the more questions I have. And that's true as my role here as a deacon as well. Maybe even more so than other parts of my life. I recently celebrated 6 years as a deacon. So I've had the opportunity to serve as the deacon for Trinity Sunday 7 times now, including today. And I've preached a few of those. The first priest I was with, it was every time because he didn't like to preach it. Father Joe is much better to me.
I am much better for it.
Now, anytime I have the privilege to preach, it is just that. It's a privilege. But I suspect most of the time, for many of you listening, I'm not giving you any great insights. How you should be living your life, things you should or shouldn't be doing. Jesus gave us that model to follow, and the scriptures remind us every week just how we're supposed to live. But Trinity Sunday is different. And in the past, I've always tried to explain the mystery of one God, 3 persons. And after I went back and read some of my old homilies, I'm reasonably sure that all I ever did was confuse most people. If they weren't already confused, I took them there. It is a difficult concept because the Trinity is not something tangible. It's not something that any of us can see or touch. So we really can't describe it with any kind of physical properties. Then this year I was blessed to read a story that helped me to understand the mystery a little bit better, certainly differently, because it helped me to understand that to wrap my head around the mystery of the Trinity, I had to stop trying to understand and explain it as if it were something tangible. I needed to begin to focus on my experience of the Trinity, on my experience of 3 persons in one God. The story that I read goes like this. A tribal elder in a remote village was sitting on a rock by a stream, eating an artichoke. Suddenly, as if a flash of lightning burst forth in his brain, he saw the truth, the wonder and the glory of creation. He realized that he was born of God. He was the marvelous perfection of a great plan of the universe. And he was filled with an overwhelming sense of peace and wholeness, right down to his very core. He returned to the village to tell of his wondrous insight, and before long, crowds started to follow him. Tribesmen began to gather around him. They realized that he knew something great, that they too yearned to know. So someone asked him, "How did you find this wonderful knowledge that makes your face so bright and your heart so full?" And the elder's response was fairly simple. He said, "I'm not exactly sure. All I know is that while I was sitting on a rock by the stream, eating an artichoke, suddenly the truth was revealed to me." The next morning, the man woke up to find the village empty. Puzzled and a little bit confused, he began to search for his brothers and sisters, but they were nowhere to be found. After hours of searching, he decided to rest for a while down by the stream, and there, to his amazement, he found the whole tribe, huddled together on that rock, eating artichokes. The villagers had, of course, believed that if they followed the same ritual as the elder, they would have the same experience. They, too, would be enlightened. They were mistaken, just as I was mistaken when I tried to explain the Trinity through tangible experiences. What I needed to do for myself was to be open to the essence of the Trinity. I needed to be open to how my relationship with our multifaceted triune God impacts me and how I react and interact with the rest of his creation. Sometimes God is clearly a father, probably more like a daddy, giving instructions, teaching, reminding me gently when I'm not following those instructions, and most likely, probably on some days, wanting to scold or punish me, but always loving me. Sometimes God the Son, Jesus, is simply in my life as my friend, giving me a model to live by, an example of the perfect way to live, so that God the Father would never want or need to scold me or punish me. And sometimes God comes to me as the Spirit, the force in my life, the quiet whisper, the constant reminder that I'm here to do God's work, to love all of God's creation. And yes, that means even the parts of it that I don't like. One God, three very different experiences. Now, I've never seen God as the Father or the Son or the Spirit with my own eyes, but I can tell you that I have been touched by him in all three ways at different times in my life. So here's hoping that I haven't confused anybody any more with today's explanation of the Trinity. But I ask that you think about your experiences of God and ask yourself, does our one God touch your life in three very, very different ways?